warehouse C, which is where the tornado surviving bourbon came from. We're going to end up in H, which is where you're going to do your barrel selection. This is warehouse P, and that's where the last drop is located. That's our refrigerating unit there. And Pompeii is back down over here. So you can see we got a lot of hiking to do here in a short period of time. These are the new warehouses going in. And these new warehouses are 58,800 barrels each. Currently, we're doing a new warehouse every 4 months. It takes 4 months to build it and 4 months to fill it. And the reason it's a 4-month interval is because at the same time we're filling these, we're having to backfill these times. All right? When the new steel kicks in October, we will then be doing 2 warehouses every 4 months because we're getting ready to double the output of this distillery. So we'll be able to build 2 of these every 4 months. And the cost to build it and fill it is $27 million each time they do it. So every 4 months, another $27 million goes out the door.
But so does that mean we're going to be able to get more Buffalo Trace in Virginia? You're doing double the output?
You ready for this? It's a crazy, crazy dilemma. Hopefully the answer is yes, okay? But less than 5% of the product from this distillery leaves North America. So people think it's because globally all the whiskey is going overseas. Less than 5% leaves North America. So what has happened in North America is not only has bourbon become a multiple generation drink, so now it's not just dad sitting around drinking. Now it's granddad, dad, and the grandson.
Grandkids.
Yep. Yeah, and they're heavy into it. All right. And at the same time, we have ladies enjoying the product. And at the same time, this is going on internationally. People are discovering bourbon. And if you think about families and cultures, families from other countries are coming in here. Maybe their traditional drink was Scotch, but they hit here and they discover. Look, he says, yes, I will. No. And the deal is, and so you got, we are just now tapping the international market. Isn't that crazy? So we're doubling the output. The objective is you're trying to predict this, but the dilemma that you have is, all these spirits are cyclical. So, you're going to have ups and downs. The objective is to always have plenty of aged bourbons, but also the objective is not to build so much of it that basically it's
oversaturated.
Yeah. So you try to make products in different price points. So we make bourbons and whiskeys under 18 labels. But when you think about that, so we go from Ancient Age and Benchmark up to Double Eagle and OSC. So price points and availability have a lot to do with what, your markets. And you need those mid to lower price ranges, those price ranges. You need those volumes to sustain. Yes, that's exactly right.
And y'all are doing your part, right?
Yeah, we're doing our part.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Old Charter?
It's called the Chartered Oak Project. So every now and then we release something. We're playing around with the oak now. So Old Charter became Chartered. Old Charter became the Chartered Oak Project because it was all based on the charter originally when the United States was created, and the documents were hidden back in an oak tree.
And one that I really miss is Ancient Age, the 10-year-old.
It's still around, okay, but here you've got a product that you kind of like. Now remember, Ancient Age is 10 years old. You also remember a guy by the name of Elmer T. Lee.
Of course. Elmer was still around when I first started coming around.
But if you'll notice, Elmer T. Lee is also 10 years old.
Yep.
It's also, it just happens to be the same mash bill.
Interesting. Okay.
But Elmer is a single barrel.
I mean, you're bringing it back as part of the updates. Is that?
We're going to see that. Yeah, you're going to have to be strong. I don't want you getting over there and going like, oh, I'm going down. Come on. Up until the 7 millionth barrel, my dad, at 94 years old, had become the only living person to personally handle every millionth barrel that's come through here since Prohibition. He passes away shortly after the 6 millionth barrel. Mark Brown wants to continue the legacy. So I get my grandson Osiris out of school, and he which is fun with the teacher. But anyway, I get him out of school, and he helps me roll the 7 millionth barrel into the warehouse, like I used to help my dad roll the barrels before. So we've got a picture of him standing up there next to Mark Brown and Chris Comstock. Look, Chester, you thought he'd rolled out every millionth barrel that came through this distillery. Come on, guys. Yeah, it's on Chris Comstock. Honor, tradition, embrace change. So Taylor starts all this. He invests a lot of his own money. He was the mayor of Frankfort for 16 years. He was a member of the House and a member of the Senate. So the Food and Drug Act was really the whole bottle and bond thing, and it was creating the standards for whiskey. So the first food product that was approved by this act was actually whiskey. It had nothing to do with food. But he was known as a man of 100 suits. He was always immaculately dressed. He had gone over to Scotland and Ireland. Zachary Taylor was his uncle, who became 12th president of the United States. And his image was, when he went over there, he noticed these really quaint little mom and pop distilleries were always done with brick, mortar, and stone, but they were always done in the communities or in the villages, and it was a welcome place. Like a lot of times they had pubs and things like that with them. He brought that back here with him, and his concept was he built this thing right in the middle of Frankfort. And his concept was, if I make my structures out of brick, mortar, and stone, but I do them in a manner that is aesthetically pleasing to the community's eye, then I'm not an eyesore. I'm not an old distillery with boards and planks and tin blowing up. And I'm going to design it in such a way that I can entertain. So on it, he had railroad tracks, he had trains that went between the different distilleries. And on his trains, even though he was transporting his liquid and his grains and stuff, he always had a club car. And his club car was designed to entertain constituents and politicians as he went from one site to the next. So that was him. He started all this. Next comes Stagg. Stagg, if you can tell, he's military. So Stagg says, okay, let's cut the fluff. Let's start making some good hooch. So Stagg takes Taylor's concept to the next level and basically starts making some really good product. He ends up buying Stagg out. Taylor had overextended himself. I just did a group yesterday who had been to Ashford Stud Farms, where American Pharaoh was being bred. And they had some pictures of them with American Pharaoh, and I said, you know, that used to be H. Taylor's farm. And I said, and now you begin to understand how the Irish and the Scotch and all these things get intertwined together, because the Scottish and Irish were the first ones that came in here, and Culmore and all those are part of that business.
Tomorrow morning, we're going to go, some of us are going to go over to a friend's farm, Summer Wind Farm, over in Georgetown, and meet Pharaoh's mother, little Princess Emma.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, they've got her over there, and I've met several of her offspring, including Pharaoh's full brother.
Yeah. And then the what's the horse that died out, was it Santa Anita? And they just brought him back to bury him.
Oh, I can't remember. I know.
But one of them, they just brought one of those horses back, and it's buried right there at the Friends farm. So this distillery goes from being known as OFC to being known as Stagg Distillery, and then Shinley Corporation comes in and becomes known as Shinley Distillery. At the same time that's going on, down in Louisville, this fellow by the name of William Rouleau. All the whiskeys up until now were rye and barley-based whiskeys, and he replaces the rye with wheat. And what he did was he changed the taste profile from the punch of the rye to a very soft, fruity flavor. All right, and that opened up a whole new world. And the spin-offs of what William Weller did was Happy Van Winkle worked for the Weller Distillery. All right, so he was part of the retailing and distribution piece. The Weller Distillery shuts down. Happy and them come in and they buy the building and the inventory, taste from those, and they bring out the ones that are going to become Weller and Packard. All right, and then they sell off the others. And so that's where the spin-offs of that became Old Fitzgerald, Rebel Yell, Maker's Mark, and Morrison. Pretty smart guy. So all these guys are visionaries. This is our plant. Colonel Blank starts here at the age of 16, and by the time he's 35, he's the president and CEO. He navigates the distillery through 2 world wars, through the Korean conflict, through the Depression, through the 1937 flood, and through Prohibition, and this distillery never closed during any of that. All right? At the same time this is going on, this charming young man over here comes in looking for a job. All right. So I tell everybody, I said, this guy looks like a cross between Robin Williams and Pete Rose. Yeah. But that's Elmer T. Lee. And when Elmer came in, Colonel Blank was he was in his senior years, and he encountered Elmer, and he said, can I help you, young man? And Elmer's like, yeah, I'm kind of like looking for a job, you know. And he just looked him up and down and said, well, I'm sorry, son, we're just not hiring anybody right now. And Blanton walks off, ignores Elmer. Orville Shoup happened to be coming by at the time, who was the plant manager, and he sees Elmer, and he talks to Elmer, and he said, don't pay any attention to that old man. He said, come on in here Monday morning, we need you. And that's how Elmer got here. And he said for a long time, Colonel Blanton would come by, and he would look, and he would shake his head and walk off. He's like, yeah, he's like, I thought I got rid of this guy, you know? Kind of funny. But because of Elmer creates Blanton's, which jumpstarts the industry, introducing the single bar bourbon. He almost got fired for doing it. And that's why there's something that we do here that most people don't realize it's part of a business model. When E.H. Taylor came out with this product, when he got himself back on his feet, he went on premise and he did pours, and he took his canisters like that y'all have, and he would put them, like I used to work up in New York, and he would put them out on the trash. And he had this group of folks, and they just went around with these empty bottles and the canisters, and he would stack them on top of the trash. And when you go to work in the morning, you would see all of these bottles. Well, your job then is, when these places open up, you go in, you sit down, and you ask for some E.H. Taylor whiskey. Well, you're the proprietor. I'm sorry, we don't carry that. And you're like, oh, really? Well, I hear you talk it up. I hear it's supposed to be pretty good. Do you know where we can get some? Well, no, I'm not sure. They said, well, somebody's got it because it's all up and down the streets out here. So you get up and leave. A few minutes later, you come in and you ask for E.H. Taylor, right?
Yeah, it's priceless.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize maybe I need to order some of this stuff. I've had an interesting background, but part of what I did was some of my training was at Harvard, and that is a business model that Harvard still uses today when they're teaching people how to sell, and you experience it every evening on your TV and you don't even realize it. But wait, there's more, which is $19.95, not available in any store, but order now. Supplies are limited, and you order it. And what you do is you send the money in to that place that gives them the money to build your product to send it back to you. All right, so Taylor starts it, all right? Blanton's comes along, Elmer introduces Blanton's, and Elmer does the same thing. Shenley was about to fire Elmer because to make a reasonable price point, they won't have to charge $25 a bottle for it. So Elmer would load cases of Blanton's in his vehicle, and he would go around on premise, give people free pours, and they got excited about Blanton's, okay? Buffalo Trace comes along in the 1990s, okay? John Baricki was our account manager. On premise, Kentucky alone. And the concept is simply this: when you're doing this, I want you to taste it, all right? If you like it, great. But if you don't like it, that's fine. The deal is, all the marketing hype and money in the world will not improve its taste. So it takes off here in Kentucky, all right? It becomes a well brand for a lot of 5-star and 5-diamond restaurants. And guess what? On the rear label of a bottle of Eagle Rare, there's a fellow's name, bottom right-hand corner, Joe C. Joe C. was out of Chicago. He was hooked to Benny, to Benny's in Chicago. Joe C. says, well, give me some of that. I'll take it up to Chicago, and we'll see if people like it up there. He starts doing pours out of Chicago. It explodes, goes all the way out to the West Coast. And as a way of saying thank you to Joe C., his name is on the bottom right-hand corner of every bottle of Eagle Rare, no matter what size it is. Huh. Honor tradition, embrace change. So now, if you know who Joe C. is the one who
Honor
introduced
tradition,
Buffalo
embrace
Trace
change
to the other parts of the United States.